Hi there, Taurus. Welcome to the first half of September 2025 General Tarot Updates. It's Raina here. And I have Taurus rising. People say to me, well, should I watch if I have Taurus rising, or, if this is my rising sign? And it's like, I used to do that when I used to watch tarot readings. It depends on what you identify with, because the rising sign is very important in astrology. For the natal chart, it anchors the natal chart. But how it plays out for you in terms of your sense of self in this lifetime, that could vary from person to person. That's why the sun is often mentioned. But even like in Vedic astrology, the moon is very important, especially for women. So smart tarot readers say, watch for the sun, moon, and ascendant. You get 3 times as many views, right? So, and for those that don't know, I have a second channel, which I've just been kind of gradually putting out content on, because I'm, of course, this is my main channel, so I'm giving it the priority. But that channel is called Tarot Alchemy by Raina Moon, or with Raina Moon. And I'm kind of focusing on love readings, but I might venture out in other subjects, or just like, maybe weekly readings, or I don't know, bi-weekly is like twice a month, something like that. We will see. It's all a work in progress. So you can check out that channel if you're interested in love tarot readings, like specifically. Okay, we have some nice cards. Let's see. And I always joke that even though I'm doing like general readings here, a lot of times it seems like relationships come up or love comes up. And maybe it's because I'm ruled by Venus, since I'm Taurus rising. I don't know. The heart of the matter is the Six of Cups. This is the soulmate card. So this is soulmate energy. The Six of Cups, I think it's connected to Cancer, which is about the past, about nostalgia. And it can be about your childhood. Something coming back. It can be about children. So you may be really either thinking about having kids, or are concerned about your children, want to protect your children, or something along those lines. But in terms of like the past, it's typically the idyllic days, the days that you think about where everything was perfect. And I know that some children have horrendous childhoods and they don't have that idyllic childhood. So in those cases, it could still be being able to heal from not having an idyllic childhood and still being able to be happy in life. But like I said, I'm going to go back to the beginning. This might be the soulmate card. Maybe you're hooking up with or coming into contact with somebody from your past, and that is bringing up these memories of when you were young, and maybe you were connected to this individual. But, of course, when you get older, you're going to change, they're going to change. So it's kind of like navigating that, and also navigating the myth of childhood that could come up. But soulmate, that's what I focus on. In the past position, you have the Devil. Wow, talk about a contrast, right? The Devil card is connected to Capricorn, which, by the way, is the opposite sign of Cancer, which this card is connected to. So that's kind of interesting. But this could be, like, for instance, one of the things I see, like, for work matters with the Six of Cups, is that if someone had something that was a passion of theirs from early on, and typically I will say it's probably something artistic, because that's the only thing I can think of besides being a psychic or something. And that is not something that usually is happening, that children are immersed in. It's usually something to do with art, like music or acting or singing. And you might have really had a passion for it, but you were not encouraged to pursue it. Or you just naturally assume that that is not something that you would do for your life's work. You may be revisiting that. You may be, saying that you sold your soul to the devil. And obviously I'm just using that as an expression, not saying literally, but the devil represents greed, or you could say being imprisoned, or what's the other word? Like ensnared by excessive involvement in the material energy, in money, making money, having money, or lust. So for relationships, we would typically say lust. But of course, some people are in a relationship and it's connected to money because maybe they married somebody who is wealthy, so somebody who makes a nice living, and they never really had love for that person. So that might be able to work at a certain level for a certain amount of time, and then it doesn't anymore. Typically, you know, after a while, when people experience loss, when, people that they love pass away and things like that, they realize, whoa, this is like, shit is getting real. Um, this physical life is temporary. And here I am uh, being ultra consumed by something that is temporary. The other thing, too, about the Six of Cups is that it's a card of innocence. And of course, the devil, can be this idea of somehow being sullied or dirtied by something that you are doing, something you have done that makes you want to go back to a more wholesome life. So, same thing with being with someone for the wrong reasons. And it could even be like a physical kind of hook that person has. Because remember, you're an earth sign, Taurus. So, and the devil card is connected to an earth sign, Capricorn. So it is about the pleasures, you could say the sins of the flesh. I don't like the word sin because I think that it is about ignorance, about not realizing how dangerous certain behaviors are and detrimental to us and to others. But I don't like to look at it like, a person is bad and they're sinful and all that. So anyway, but it's a phrase, sins of the flesh. So how is that making you crave simplicity and innocence, wholesomeness in your life? The higher message is the Seven of Wands, which is standing your ground. Don't you love that frog? It just cracks me up every time I see these frogs. They're not on every card, but still. Um, and this is a card. Sometimes it can be that the person is in a defensive posture. They feel like they have something that they have to defend about. It's almost like defending their honor, defending their worthiness, and it's coming from the judgment of others sometimes. And like the I think with Taurus, it can be sometimes maybe you don't know really what how important something is to you, and all of that, and you just allow other people to kind of change your mind about something. Another thing is to watch in your life where you feel in that place. If like I think of the devil card as a narcissist, as a malignant narcissist. So it could be a boss, it could be a significant other who is who sees the worst in you, who brings out the worst in you, and you don't feel like there's anything that you can do that is good in that person's eyes. And what does that mean? Well, it means that it's a toxic relationship. So being able to pinpoint that and understand, again, with that Six of Cups, it's such a contrast, is really helpful in being able to make the decision to change your life. What crosses you is the Nine of Pentacles. For some people, they may have issues with financial independence, where they may feel like they're stuck with the devil. They may feel like they have to stay in that job, or they have to um, stay in that relationship, and they know that there's something more for them, but they feel very stuck. And I'm one of those people that I believe in, being honest with yourself. And if that's how you feel, and if that's what it looks like around you, then it is what it is. So it's not about pretending that something isn't how it is, but you have to understand that every current reality, I'm going to say so-called reality, is actually the past, because your your present is every choice that you've made and every action that you've taken in the past. And so you have cause and you have effect. So you can chart a new course at any time, but you can't, it's unrealistic to expect that your current reality will just suddenly shift. I mean, there is, like, people talk about quantum shifts and quantum leaps, and I do believe that that can happen. But if you want to just be conservative about it, it's about being able to tolerate the in between times. And I think that a lot of Taurus people are patient and they can do that, but they just may not have enough faith. They may feel like if something is in that invisible realm, that it's never going to happen because they don't see any proof of it. And that's where you might get tripped up, and you might be tempted just to, like, chuck it all together. And you have to be willing to kind of endure the transitional period. What's coming in is the Eight of Cups, and this is a card of leaving behind what no longer serves you, and what is not filling your cup emotionally, what is draining you, what is making you even feel physically exhausted in some cases, mentally exhausted, where you just are like, I need a nap, like, because you're dealing with a lot of negativity around you, or just kind of boredom, that kind of thing. Your heart isn't in something. So I feel like you're going to kind of make that move. And I even think of this as a spiritual pilgrimage. It's not just walking away from something. With these readings, timing and all of that is a little bit hazy, because I don't have I'm it's kind of like an energy update where I'm intending it for a certain period of time, but it's not meant to mean that everything's going to happen in this time frame. That would be a bit silly. And the outcome is the King of Wands, and this is stepping into your own power, being able to be the captain of your own ship. The Wands is connected, and you have the Seven of Wands too, that's connected to fire energy. Fire energy is very autonomous. It's not dependent. It's not, it's very individualistic. It's like, what do you need and how are you going to express yourself? Not, being in a collaboration with other people. It's really like this is about you. And I feel like, because you have Jupiter in the third house, there may be things that you want to communicate, you want to write about, you want to make videos about, you just want to let people know how you feel about things. And that could be your starting off point. If that's something, if you feel drawn to do something like that for other people, it might be that you want to get back into some kind of creative thing that you did before. I was going to say creative hobby, but with the Six of Cups, this might be something that you did, for fun when you were growing up. But, even if that was how you felt about it, as an adult, you may have been sitting on a pot of gold. You might have been, not activating this part of yourself that is super creative and super talented. So I just want to encourage you. We're in Virgo season, and when planets are in Virgo, the sun and other personal planets, or any, planets, and we're going to have like actually a solar eclipse on the 21st. We already had a new moon in Virgo, but another, very powerful solar eclipse there. That's when, that's the fifth house for Taurus. So, um, and if that's going to be for the second half of the month, but it still could, the themes could be really coming out right now. So anyway, that's what I have for you, Taurus. And this is even like with the King of Wands, you might um, meet or rekindle something with somebody who's a fire sign. Leo is a big draw for Taurus, but the other fire signs are Sagittarius and Aries, and this is really about your sovereignty, your autonomy. If you would like a private reading, be it astrology, the tarot, or both, please click on the link below. Thanks for watching. Bye.